So, I'm glad to be back with another show. We did one the other day on dementia featuring Laurie, and I must say it turned out amazing. Just Laurie's story, her whole aura, everything about her. And I think you remember me sharing some of my grandmother's story, living with dementia, when we kind of found her in the house, walking outside of the house in her bathrobe. And that was the start of that journey. And now looking at my mom, who is in her early 80s, I don't want to tell mom's secrets over here, but but she's dealing with early onset, and it's interesting. I can say she's happy. She may question whose house this is sometimes, or whose. I was painting the bathroom the other day, and she's like, "Whose bathroom is that?" And I'm like, "Yeah," but other than that, and she's fine. And like I said, I think that with that being the case, Lord knows, I hope when I get that age, I'm where she's at, right? If if the only thing I'm worried about is whose bathroom it is at 80 something, I've done all right. But so that's where my passion comes from wanting to get the message out on dementia and Alzheimer's. And I use my platform and as far as the TV shows that I make to be able to do that. Because let's face it, at the end of the day, the business has an advertising and a marketing problem of healthcare. And I say that because we're not reaching people. And there's over $23 billion in digital healthcare advertising, meaning that that's what they're spending to reach people digitally, whether it's Amazon Prime or Tubi or whatever it may be, online. And most of these conditions have absolutely almost no awareness behind them. I'm still lost with why they would want to use a celebrity. I mean, I thought that kind of went out the door with Paula Dean and some other folks that really don't bring awareness. The other day, somebody sent me something. It was regarding prostate cancer. I think it was colon cancer, prostate cancer, with the basketball star Alonzo Mourning, and I'm just like, if was it prostate, well, it was something of that nature, and I know it was a basketball person. I mean, it might be the wrong person I'm talking about. And it was interesting because the website is a website that doesn't even get good traffic. I know this. And they're charging like $75 to $100,000 to this pharma company or ad agency that's paying for a site that only literally gets 30,000 views a month. um, a waste of money, a waste of money. And I can only imagine what they're paying that basketball player to promote this cause, right? So we have a problem with reaching people, and I don't understand why we do. To be honest with you, why I know why we do, but it's not a hard fix. It's not a hard fix, and so dementia is very important to me. The cause of dementia, Alzheimer's, and it should be to us too as well. And using my programs are, for me, the best way to reach a mass amounts of people that can benefit from this type of awareness and this type of activation, right? One of the things that I've noticed too as well is we don't have enough representation, especially in the Black community. And Laurie introduced us to this lovely, lovely mother and daughter family here, and I would love for them to be on the series. And I've had several conversations with her amazing, her and her mom. And I wanted to kind of bring them on to kind of share their journey and understand what they're dealing with and what they're living with as far as um, dementia and Alzheimer's and how their lives have changed with this. And Shon, how are you, young lady?
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for having me on the show this morning.
Always my pleasure. Always my pleasure. So I know we've been kind of going back and forth trying to perfect this over here, and hopefully we can get it right this time. Uh, so let's get into it. Tell me about your mother's diagnosis. When did that happen, and how did that shake things up and change her life and your life?
Okay, thanks for asking that question, first and foremost. My mom's journey began with subtle change. Her changes was she would forget her keys. And that was something that I didn't take wholeheartedly because I forget my keys. Everybody forget their keys, right? We all need tiles, so to speak, to find our keys. So then from there, it went to her forgetting her passwords at work. She would forget her passwords. And that was something that wasn't that alarming as well for me because there's so many passwords, our phones, our computers, all that kind of good thing. Then from there, it went to my mom actually repurchasing gifts for my daughters. She would say that she had a gift for my two girls and she would go try to locate the gifts and she could not find the gifts and she would repurchase. And finally, growing up in a very tidy home and going to my mom to visit my mom, her house it was chaos. There was a lot of newspapers all over the place, her work papers, everything displayed all over the chairs, her kitchen chairs and countertops, you name it. So I asked her, would you like for me to come in and clean up? And she's like, oh, no, no, just fine. Just move those papers and have a seat. And I'm like, oh, no, this is not my mom. There's something clearly wrong here. So she was going to the doctor. We told her to, well, kind of snubbed her to go to the doctor to see what was going on. And she was told she was in that menopausal stage. So she was 58 years old at that time. So it was not um, something that would not be appropriate to have menopause during that age. It would be appropriate at 58. So
Mm,
that's where they started. Oh, well, it's menopausal. You're stressed. My mom worked extended hours, longer than 8 hours a day, sometimes 12, sometimes 13. So, stress, hey, that could be an issue. So it continued. It was this journey continued. So finally, my mom was very diligent and proactive and said, there's more to it than just possible menopause. I need a neurologist. So she went to a neurologist, and the neurologist did the testing. He did the MRIs and all that great stuff. And he did find that at that time it was early onset Alzheimer's disease. And that was basically what they diagnosed. Most
wow.
people that had the cognitive decline at that time, it was early onset um, Alzheimer's, where they could see the atrophy and all that in the brain.
Wow.
So then she decided to continue to see the doctor. She did not let us in because that's how my mom is. My mom didn't want to stress us out. She didn't want to
Wow.
worry us. And she told us after the fact. She was alone when she found out the diagnosis.
Wow.
She called us on the phone and told us,
Wow. Wow.
me particularly.
Yeah.
That was the first time she was diagnosed. The second time I was with her, but the first time, right? And just to be in that position where your mom is vulnerable, she's alone, and to find that out, and the only child, I must say. My mom is the only child. I have two dynamic sisters, extended family. I have a brother. I don't call my brothers stepbrothers. I have two amazing stepbrothers,
Yeah.
brothers. And so I have an extended type of family, but she was alone in every way when you
Yeah.
really and truly look at it, right? But her
Yeah.
and God was in that room.
Yeah. Yeah.
So um, from there, she wanted to do advocacy. She was already advocating. And my stepfather had a brother that was going through Alzheimer's disease at that time, and mom was already advocating for him, not knowing that she will potentially be advocating for herself. So that's kind of where everything, the snowball started to roll.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what was the next steps? Was it treatment? Was it, you know, how did she take it? Obviously, that's a scary diagnosis to know that, you know, the next few years could be daunting. How did she take it? And what was the treatment plan and options?
Okay, so initially, I think it was hard. It was a heavy hit, right? It was a heavy blow. And my mom is one of those who don't sit down and allow her diagnosis to control who she is. And so she was already advocating, but that was her way of pushing back, was to advocate even more. And so when her diagnosis, the ways that she handled it, she said, the one thing that she said to me was, I'm not going to sit here and say, why me? I'm going to stand up and say, why not me? And that made me jump on board. And I'm like, I have to be on my mom's team here. I have to be a team player. I have to find solutions. So the treatment, they had volunteered and told her that she could take this medication, which was 20 years old at the time. She had people that was around it. She was surrounded by that had been taking that same medication who could decline relatively quickly. She was able to see that that's not the way she wanted to go at that time. And so what we did was exercise. We did a lot of holistic kind of thing instead of the medical treatments at that time, because people were declining quicker than they were being able to be treated.
I'm sorry over here. How did you, not to cut you off, how did you navigate potential treatment options? I mean, um, did you find much information out there? Was much information presented to you? Was there any medication that you were looking into? How did you digest even what information was out there? Did you have to, go online and kind of do your thing and do some research, or was the experts and the doctors really being efficient with getting you that information?
There was no proactiveness with the doctors at all. They had no knowledge, right? So all the information, and this is over 10 years ago we're talking about. So
Yeah.
there was basically, this is what you have, get your affairs in order, and
Mm.
that's it, basically. And
Mm.
you tell somebody that. How do we do our own research? So we had to research and find ways. And by advocating with the Alzheimer's Association and having that information, we were able to find out ways to help my mom, to keep her engaged, and just not let her slide into depression, because that's something else that happens with dementia. Depression is real, and so we had to find other strategies, like I was saying, more holistic approaches than the oils. My brother's wife, she's very much into like holistic and oils and things, and my mom
Mhm.
was doing a lot of that kind of thing too, meditating. There was
Yeah.
a lot of walking and just different things like that that my mom
Mhm.
was doing in
Yeah.
in alongside taking the medication. Instead of taking the medication, she was taking a total holistic approach and was like, "Okay, this is me. This is what we're going to do," and all the family was on board with that.
Yeah. Yeah. You, it's interesting. I think you cut out for a second. It's interesting that if we know sooner in general about a lot of health conditions, there's so much we can do just through diet and exercise. We know that, there's certain foods that really contribute to, better overall health. We know that the diet sodas, they say, are contributing to, dementia, and some statins, they say, are contributing to certain, dementia and Alzheimer's. And it's really also, we're seeing that sugar and insulin, high insulin, is contributing to some of these issues too as well. And there's certain things that I just wish, man, I can go back in time and be like, if I knew what I know now, I would have done so much better. So you kind of took more a holistic approach toward this because you really didn't find and get the information that you saw, thought should have been out there. And let me ask you, have you seen much change since with the information and the education since 10 years ago? Because 10 years ago is really, it's not that long ago. And when I think of even my diagnosis with type 2 diabetes, it was probably about 13 years ago. But that it's really not that long considering how long these conditions have been out. Um, Maybe the internet was, it makes it a little bit more digestible now, but they should have known a lot more 10 years ago too as well. So what do you think about how have things progressed since then?
I'm so happy that you asked that, and I just have to break this down. So
Mm,
right now, what has changed? In you know, in our community, you have mostly African American women that dominate. They dominate with having the diagnosis of dementias and Alzheimer's disease, right? But when you look at some of the stores and different things for us to have, as far as nutrition is concerned, we do not even have the appropriate grocery stores in our neighborhoods to help us to know what to eat and how to eat it. Okay. So that's number one, a main issue. And that continues to be an issue with us to this day, I think. Okay. I think education as far as nutrition is important. Okay. And there is a lack thereof. And I feel like that is systematically done. Okay. And so what I've seen, yes, there are improvements in that
mhm.
category, but not in our areas, not in our neighborhoods. We have to drive out to a grocery store. There's not grocery stores that I can just walk to. There's, in our neighborhoods that you can just walk to. I don't, I can walk to my grocery store, but I'm not just talking about me right now. I'm talking about us as a group of people. And I find that very alarming. Also the hypertension and different things and different stressors that we have on a daily, diabetes, being diabetic. All of these things and these challenges are something that we face each and every day as a African American woman, and we do not have the proper information to help us and to know that yes, in fact, this can cause dementia. And no, our doctors do not still communicate that to us. Okay, they'll give us insulin, they give us your whatever medication, metformin, they'll give you medication, right? But I just don't want the medication. I
Yeah,
want the information. And
yeah,
so this is what there is a lack thereof. And I am very upset still with how the information is within our community. Now, are there changes? Yes, there's changes that you can do, treatments and things. There's neurofeedback treatments, there's medications, there's stimulations. So yes, there are things that you can have done to help your cognitive decline. But however, the African American community do not know about those things. I'm lucky to know about those things because I'm involved. And why do not they do not know about these things when you are in a neurologist's office? Why are you just told this is your diagnosis and not have someone alongside you to help you through this journey? And especially if you don't have a care partner.
And to that, statement here, it shows that higher rates of vascular and chronic health conditions, Black Americans experience higher rates of conditions strongly linked to dementia, including hypertension, high blood pressure, diabetes, stroke, heart disease, obesity. It shows researchers increasingly emphasize that disparities are not simply biological, they are deeply connected to neighborhood issues is what you're talking about, not being able to access food, limited access to health and food and exercise opportunities, lower access to quality health care, chronic stress from discrimination and racism. Contributors also include reduced access to specialists and memory clinics, healthcare and discrimination, mistrust of the medical system, cultural beliefs, memory loss is a normal part of aging. So yeah, we definitely are under the gun when it comes to these type of conditions. And I used to say that too as well, especially being in and around healthcare. And I'm like, man, if I don't know about a certain thing and this is what I do per se with my programs, can you imagine someone who really doesn't have any clue of certain conditions or certain factors around these conditions, how much more susceptible are they to not being able to really get the access to the care that they need? And it's heartbreaking. It really is, and we have to do better because dementia and Alzheimer's can hit any of us at any time. No one per se can say that definitely they are never going to experience this. I've seen billionaires who are passing away at 65 with Alzheimer's dementia. So I spoke to Mom the other day, and she is so sweet. How is she now, and what's her future looking like?
Okay, so my mom, initially when she was diagnosed, you could hardly really see it, just the forgetting pieces. Now my mom is progressing. A lot of it is more alongside, and she's going to kill me when she sees this, the paranoia piece.
Yeah.
And so she has different paranoias about certain things. Her phone is one. And she, for some reason, that's where it's at. It's more so the tech world. She feels like people are invading her privacy, so to speak. If she can't find things immediately, she will think someone has taken them. And you kind of have to meet her where she's at and not fight with, no, I didn't take that or I didn't do that. Mom, allow her to her space so she can find or locate it, right? And it's just that you can't take any of this disease personal. And I had to learn that along the way. I took a lot of it personal, right? Because I remember my mom from raising me,
Yeah.
and then being to that, turn into a position of more like um part a helpful caregiver to her,
Yeah. Yeah.
alongside my sisters and her husband. So it's not just me, but I'm just saying that when it turns, you have to kind of grieve that process of it actually turning as these roles are reversing on you, and you're not prepared for this reversal and how to handle it. And it's a grieving process for the person that's going through cognitive decline as well as the caregiver, because you remember how sharp and intelligent and brave and
Yeah.
brilliant that person was, and to just see just little subtle things that starts to just, like to chip away from them,
Yeah.
like chisel. That's hard, very difficult. So she's doing okay. She's still pushing along and advocating and fighting her best fight, and my mom will go down doing that. That's just who she is. So
Yeah. No, it's you're right about that. My mom, Caribbean woman, she's always kind of been outspoken, So, so to hear something crazy from her from time to time, before the diagnosis wasn't uncommon, but at certain times now you'll be like, "Ooh, okay, don't yeah." Especially with her caregivers, she'll say some stuff, and I got to tell them, they're beautiful women from Jamaica too as well, and they're very patient. But I'm like, listen, she may say something crazy. Don't take it personal. And they're like, no, no, no. But sometimes, it's interesting because I don't care who you are. Somebody could say something, man, that hits a little below the belt, where you're like, ooh, man. But yeah, no, it's definitely been a transition. But I'm glad that she's, you know, um, at least smiling. Like I said, I would say 95% of the time she's okay. So she's not there yet. And I'm glad for that because, I love her so much, and I would hate for her to not remember who I am, or get to that point. So it's yeah, oof, that just kind of hit me for a second.
yeah,
Um and I was gonna get into, and I will, because your mom is gonna be there with you soon, and I want to follow back up on this conversation because, and I want you kind of to both be there because you, of course, have a family history of this
right.
and went to take your own test. Maybe we can get a little bit into that where you realize, hey, I need to go and do this, and um, share how you just, had to literally just pressure your doctor into to getting this test. And that, if share that, then we won't give the results, and then we'll kind of come back next time when mom is there, and we'll kind of go into that. So tell us about how that whole thing came about as far as you being able to, wanting to get your own, test for dementia, Alzheimer's.
Okay. Yes. So I was experiencing some difficulties, and being 52, there's cognitive decline. I wouldn't even say uh, menopause. Okay, we're gonna go there. We're gonna say menopause. So everybody's worried about menopause. I'm worried about menopause. The weight gain. I started having the hot flashes. I had the whole nine. I went to the doctor, and my primary care physician was not in the office at that time, but I saw his assistant. And I mentioned this, and she's like, "Yeah, it could be menopause, no, it could be menopausal, this and that." And I was like, "Okay, but I also want to let you know, as you know, that I have a family history of dementia." So she at the time was like, "Oh no, no, you don't have to know, you don't have to worry about that. No, not dementia, menopause, and that's normal. It's part of aging, and blah 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 blah." So I told her, "Well, you know what? I thank you for your opinion, but I would like a referral to a neurologist as well, because I'm not taking this as this is not set in stone. What you're telling me, I have a family history. I know, I see my mom. We've been through this rodeo before. I'm not going to go on this rodeo with you. I have two girls I have to think about, right?
Yeah.
Alongside myself."
Yeah.
And so I did get a referral to the neurologist. That was 3 months. I had a three month waiting period. During that 3 month, I'm looking into what can I do next. And let me back up because when I went to that appointment too, I was looking to do a genetic link test to see if they could do it at my job, that it wouldn't have to be that I would have to pay out of pocket. The reason why I knew about that, I have to say again, my own advocacy, our advocacy. Had there not been advocacy, I would not have known about a genetic test. I would
Mm,
not know about this. Okay. So um, now fast forward, I went to see how I could take the test because they did not offer the test at the PCP. My primary care physician office did not offer that test. And to come to find out, they were like giving me the go around. Well, the neurologist probably asked. We never heard of that test. Let me add that to it too. We never heard of
mm,
this test. Okay,
mm.
I don't understand why you didn't ever hear of that, and I knew.
That's
So,
unbelievable. That's unbelievable. Yeah.
and so I did my own research and I went through my FSA account, and which is a flexible spending account that you have through work. And so you pay money each and every month towards that. And they give you an amount of fair, whatever you decide that you want. Let's say if you want $1,000, it's flexible spending account for that annual year. That's
Hmm.
that's what they're going to give you, and you will be deducted each pay period for that amount. So I wanted to
Hmm.
get that out there too for our people to know what that is and how to
Hmm.
get that.
Hmm.
And so I took it upon myself, and I saw that yes, there was genetic link testing through Brain Health. So I did that. I got my genetic testing done. I was able to get the results from the Brain Health
Hmm.
um, before I went to my 3 month appointment.
Hmm.
I did fast, although I didn't have to fast, but I fast.
Hmm.
I did fast for that test morning. I think they did tell me to fast. Let me back up. But anyway, I went early morning to take the test to take the genetic link test, and from that we'll talk about the findings a little later. We'll keep you guys in tune to what's
Yeah.
next.
Yeah.
But it was a very let me just say, mentally exhausting because you don't know. Part of you want to know, and part of you don't want to know if it doesn't come back the way. Because nobody want to be diagnosed with this disease. You
No.
see what it
No.
does to people, what it can do, and so that was my fear. Like, what if it when it comes back? What
Yeah.
would that look like? You
Yeah.
know. And so fast forward, I went to my neurologist, and I was very adamant about what I needed. I had all my information from the genetic testing at hand.
Yeah.
So I'll get into that a little bit more, but
Yeah.
at the next the next show. But yeah,
Yeah.
but it was a great visit. Put it like that. I won't talk about like every detail to that visit, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
there was some
And
challenge. Yeah.
you're led right now to wanting to really be an advocate too, as well, for the condition, especially in the Black community. Tell us a little bit about that.
So, in our community, we don't have that awareness. We're walking around time bombs and not even know it, right? And it's very hurtful to me to see that as a woman. I experience, I mean, one thing I can't do when I walk outside my door is I can't change my color. And so when I walk outside the door, I'm going to get judged, I'm just going to get judged even before I open my mouth. Sometimes you get judged, someone may clinch up, whatever it may be. I'm not going to go into all that, but I'm just saying how it is, right? For us
Yeah.
being brown people.
Yeah.
So the thing about that is I think you have to take some of that strength of being able to know. It take a lot of strength to go out there every day being brown. I'm telling
Yeah.
you.
It
being from
does.
a
It
brown
does.
community,
It does.
it take a lot of strength,
It
and
does.
that's exhausting every
It
day.
does.
Okay, so for
Oh, it's not easy.
period. And then so what I would like to see change, I would like to see a change where every time you go to your when you go to your doctor's office, let's say you're 30 years old, right? And there should be an MRI baseline done at the age of 30, just like at the age of 50, that there's a colonoscopy. Just like at the
Yeah.
age of 50, you need a mammogram. You should have to have a baseline test at the age of 30 to see where you are. So at the age of 50, they can see when you have that MRI done again, hey, fast forward, that's 2 decades, that's 20 years. You can
Yeah.
see if there is decline.
Yeah.
You're able to have that baseline. So
Yeah.
when you don't have a baseline, I think it's very hard. I mean, yes, they can see the shrinking of the brain, they can see all of these things, but I think it's always nice to have a baseline
Yeah.
when you're dealing with the brain.
Yeah.
So I want to see that. I want to see the application for genetic testing in African American is $137. Why
Mm.
not do that?
Yeah.
Why do you want to spend thousands of dollars on the MRI when they don't want to give it to you, when you can get a $137 test? And there's a better amyloid test that can tell how much plaque you have on the brain. And we'll get into
Mm.
that more next time.
Yeah. Next time. Well, we definitely. I can't wait to do the next show with you and Mom, and I'm proud of you and your journey and her journey and being able to really express, uh, your thoughts here and you'd probably be surprised. We both will probably be surprised how many people can relate to your story. And let me ask you real quick: when you got the information from Lori about the potential series the series that we're working on, what came to your mind? Were you excited about it? And what came to your mind?
Okay, let alone ecstatic. I mean, just being totally ecstatic about this, right? I see a platform where there can be so much awareness, global awareness, and a person that is very passionate about what they do straight from the heart. It's not about the monetary factors. It's about knowledge. It's about educating. It's about everything that it should be with without the whole financial drama that goes behind a lot of this, where people do it for all the wrong reasons. This is being done for all the right reasons, and it's done strictly for the heart. And I fell in love with that idea and so happy to be a part of that idea because it's just very disheartening to me to see how many people yes, they are doing commercials or doing them, but you know what, there's also a nice price tag to it, and it's not always fair. And I just want to say that this is something that is amazing. Is something that's totally out the box. It's different and it's going to reach so many people and strictly done from the heart. So that's what I love about this. And I thank you, Charles, for being that person, for having the compassion, the strength, and the energy to bring to the community. Thank you.
Mm. I thank you. I thank you, Sean. All right. So, um, we are going to we're going to follow back up, and I look forward to having you and Mom and having her share her story too as well, and get back into the rest of your story. So we're gonna have an amazing part two to this. So, all right, young lady, thank you so much, and I look forward to part two, and we'll talk in a day or two.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Have a great one.
So yeah, these conversations are really really important. You know, it's these are, at times these scary times, right? Can be because not only do we have a lot of other issues going on in our life, but to have a situation where you don't know, next steps at times, and having these conversations gives us back some power, right? And it enables people, because there's tests that she mentioned here that most of us probably wouldn't even think to take or ask about. And at times we have to become our own advocates. And I think that's why the series that we can do on this can be so powerful, because we get a chance in how it works. We're going to be able to have 5 people who are living with this condition and their loved ones be on set for about 4 to 5 days with some of the top experts in the business. And we've got some amazing names, to be honest with you. And that information could literally change the world and validate so many people who are in the space of dementia and Alzheimer's, who have so much to share, who are pushing, the boundaries, whether it's research, a new medication, or new treatments, or new devices, and new testing. Because, honestly, if we find out early, there is so many options that are available that could help us, help ones who are in this position. And so I'm excited about that. So yeah, stay tuned for part 2, and I look forward to knocking out another amazing show, and I'm excited to bring this information. So keep tuning in. Start within. Share when you can. Take a watch when you can. Share it with some of your loved ones, and I look forward to the next episode.